Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the Down Under Bunker here in Sydney, Australia. Today got a bit of a special one, playing Axis and Allies D-Day. I've always enjoyed this game, the fact that you can play it within an hour or an hour and a half. If you don't know, this game runs on turns, so you can only have 10 rounds. The Allies need to take the three main cities, Cherbourg, Saint-Lô and Caen. Germans need to defend it before the 10 rounds is up. Not playing with the tactic and fortune cards today. I personally don't enjoy playing with them. I know others do, but I just find that they throw too many spanners in the works. They do sometimes make an interesting twist, but then it kind of takes away from the strategic element of the game. But maybe one day soon I will play with those cards, so keep tuned for that. But for now, we're gonna play this, and I'll see you guys after round one. See how well the original landings go for the Allies. End of round one in this D-Day invasion by the Allies, and the dead pile is not looking so big. Not many casualties this round. Although the board is looking full of units, so lots more casualties come, I'm sure. Let's go through the round, and to start things off, the airborne invasions weren't that much of a success by the British. They got no hits. The Americans got one hit and then cleared out the other German unit there. But over here, the Americans are looking quite strong with, of course, the first 6 units from the reinforcement chart having to go on Utah Beach. I'm sure they'll be heading up to Cherbourg soon. The Germans are just trying to get in the way of the Americans, slow them down, force them to send more resources up north. But Omaha Beach went halfly good for the Americans. Usually they're wiped out on the first round. But the blockhouses were destroyed by naval bombardment, so they weren't an issue. And then they came in, got a few hits, got more hits on the Germans' attack, so it's looking pretty good for the Americans there, with maybe British help next turn. Speaking of the British, they had pretty good landings on Gold and Juno Beach. Sword Beach went well on their turn, but when the Germans came in, they came in with everything they had. And, well, that is currently the state of the battle. Doves leave Caen exposed, and the British are taking advantage of that. But I think the Germans, with their reinforcements here, are going to be looking to keep that safe. The fighter patrols by the Americans and British were these two spaces and these two. So any units that were coming in over there had to get strafed by the fighters, and the Germans lost an artillery and 2 tanks to that. So successful strafing for the Allies, and no fighters lost as well. So good stuff for them. The bombers didn't have success, they both missed this round. The Germans were able to reinforce down here pretty safe without having to worry about any fighters. So that's the main stuff that happened this round. Only the first round, lots more to happen. Seems pretty even at the moment, but find out after round 2 how it's going. Round 2 is in the books, and the pile continues to grow of casualties from this battle. A lot more German units in this time. Germans didn't have the best of rounds, but the Allies haven't really been able to capitalise on that just yet. All the planes from the Allies are still there. No anti-aircraft has shot them down, although they have strafed and bombed places with anti-aircraft guns, so they're not being super cautious. The units just Saint-Lô were stuck this turn by 3 American fighters, and there were a few reinforcements trying to get into there, and the American fighters strafed all of them. So Germans are lacking a few units now. The British fighters concentrated on the mass of tanks in here. They put all 4 of their fighters in there. All 3 of the tanks survived, but the infantry and artillery did not. So the stuff that the British were trying to hit, they didn't. But who can complain when you've hit 2 other units? The Germans have put units down there and there, trying to split them, and both with heavy anti-aircraft artillery. So hoping to encourage the British fighters to go away somewhere else. In the battles this round, still a pretty big deadlock on Sword Beach. Juno and Gold are just British breeding ground now. They can attack Caen. They can go across to Omaha, which they did this round. The Germans don't have many reinforcements going to Omaha at the moment, so that could be taken next round. The Americans bring their first tank on the board soon. Up here, the quest for Cherbourg is going quite well. I'd imagine that this is all the units the Americans need now to take it. Naval bombardments can take out the 2 blockhouses, no problem. And there isn't that many units there, so I would consider Cherbourg taken. Caen is not looking so good at the moment for the Germans, so it would also be a miracle if the Germans will hold on to that. Saint-Lô, though, as usual, will probably be the final battle to decide who wins. Looking at the reinforcements charts at the moment, the Germans are looking a bit weak on the right side of the board. Over here, the Americans are looking not so good either, and the British are about halfway through as well. So, already chewing through reinforcements. It'd be interesting to see how the round 3 plays out. I would say the Allies are on top, but this game can change in a matter of rounds. So, stay tuned, and we'll find out after round 3 what happens. Round 3 is done as well, and reinforcements are running out, but the casualties never slow down. Here is what the dead pile looks like now. It's filling up quite a lot now. And let's take a quick look at the reinforcements now. I realise that you probably couldn't see it last time because of the sun, but over here the Germans are now looking very weak on the right side, hardly any reinforcements left. Despite only getting 3 reinforcements this round, on the left side they're looking a bit more strong, so they'll be able to get more reinforcements later in the game. The Americans have got quite a bit of units to come, a few tanks as well, lots of infantry. The British probably only have a couple of rounds left as well of reinforcements, lots of artillery to come for them. Sad news for the Americans, they have lost a fighter. The British are still full, but losing a plane is never good, especially after only 3 rounds. Let's take a look over here where the Germans are really swarming towards Caen. So many units, lots of infantry and artillery. The Germans continue to hold the British up on Sword Beach despite how many units the British throw at it. But it looks like this round the British will be attacking Caen and seeing how many tanks they can destroy and hopefully take it before the imminent counterattack comes. Omaha Beach was taken this turn finally by the combined British-American force. The Germans quickly coming up, but this round all of the Allies' fighters were focused on Saint-Lô and the territory below it. 3 American fighters after the fighter got shot down below Saint-Lô, 4 American fighters in Saint-Lô. Shaw did strafe a lot of units. None of the tanks were strafed, but I think 5 infantry were strafed this round along with an artillery. Up north it is looking good for the Americans. They should be able to take out that German force and march on to Cherbourg unopposed. I think that one is definitely secure. So looking interesting still. Still got 7 rounds to go for the Germans to hold on. Will they be able to hold on for 7 rounds? Well, find out right after this. It's now the end of round 4, and our reinforcements for the right side of the board for the Germans have run out. The Americans haven't got much left. The British, after rolling 9 on reinforcements, are down to 1. So this game has still got quite a bit in it, because once reinforcements run out, that is when the game gets really interesting, because it's down to what you have on the board. But let's talk about what is on the board at the moment. And the Americans still have 3 fighters, the British still 4. Both bombers are still intact as well. They've been trying to keep them, but now that it's almost halfway through the game, they might do some risky stuff. Because I would say the Allies are in with a chance of winning by maybe even round 8 or 9. The way it's looking, the Germans are not really doing very well. Over in Caen is probably their strongest point at the moment. Saint-Lô is looking very undefended. Cherbourg, the Americans have chucked a few more units just to make sure, but that is pretty much guaranteed to fall. So if Caen was to fall, I think that would actually be the end of the game, because Saint-Lô is not looking very defended at the moment. And if the Allies get in Saint-Lô and make the Germans attack, then it is all over. So this game is definitely heated up. It will be down to whether Germans can hold off the Allies for a little bit longer. Maybe if they can just destroy as many British units, because basically that's all the British units there is, plus 1 lone artillery that will come in next round. So you just got to slowly whittle down the British, get rid of all of those tanks that are really going to hurt them. But the fact that Allies tanks defend at 2 does help the Germans, not like their tanks, which defend at 3. Omaha Beach is looking very reinforced now by the Americans. They are really making sure they charge at Saint-Lô. The British now putting reinforcements on Gold Beach, trying to see what they can do about Saint-Lô as well. So Saint-Lô probably be taken in a couple rounds. Cherbourg probably a couple rounds. Caen, we'll see. So stay tuned, and I'll see you after round 5. Round 5 is done, and we are technically halfway through the game if the game was to go to 10 turns, but I have a feeling that we're not going to make it to 10 turns. Here's what the pile's looking like now. You can see heaps of units in there now. And the board is going to start looking pretty empty soon. As we look down here at reinforcements, the British are out. The Americans down to their final few. The Germans, half of it's already been out, and the other half already down to probably 1 turn of reinforcements left. So this is the point where the board looks real empty. But let's go through the round. All of the airplanes for the Allies are still intact. The bombers have been doing work, taking out tanks and infantry. The fighters have been strafing a lot. The fighters strafed a few tanks this turn, so the Germans are looking a bit weak. The British were able to take Caen this turn and have held on to it. And this is really all that the Germans can send at it now. And I don't think that's going to be enough to hold off all of that. Saint-Lô is under threat. As you can see here, the Americans and even British have a few tanks in range. The Germans don't have much stuff there. Cherbourg is going to be taken next turn. The naval bombardment was able to take out 2 blockhouses, so that lone American infantry will just walk in, and I don't think that German tank will be stopping him. So there is actually potential for the game to finish next round if the Allies were to hold on to Caen, which is very unlikely, and the Allies were able to take Saint-Lô and make sure no German units were left in a contested territory. Well, that would mean the Allies would win. But I don't think that's going to happen this round, but maybe next round. So stay tuned, and I'll see you after round 6. End of round 6 now, and if round 7 isn't the last round of the game, the Allies have done something wrong. With this current positioning of all the units, I really don't see the Axis winning from here. It is pretty much guaranteed Allied victory, whether they can do it next round, which they should be able to, or in a few rounds, because they have 4 rounds to do it, and I don't think they'll use all of them. Over here in the dead pile, it continues to grow. Reinforcements, only 3 units for the Germans, none for the Allies, so they're completely out. Bad day to be a fighter pilot, or a bomber pilot for that matter. American bomber was lost, a British fighter was lost this turn. But strafing was still done, bombing was still done, lots of units destroyed from those fighters. In Caen, the British have put all of their resources into taking it, putting all of their tanks now, and the Germans really can't match what they've got there, so expecting them to take it next turn. Saint-Lô, really under pressure now. The Germans forced to put their units in Renays, and British fighter pilots were there, so there was more strafing to be done by them. And with all of these reinforcements by the Americans, 3 tanks coming on Omaha Beach next round, I really don't think the Germans are going to hold on. Cherbourg's already taken, no German presence up there either, so I'll see you after round 7, which will probably be the last round of the game. Round 7 is done, but the game is not. The Allies having miserable rolls this round. But with all of the units that can possibly be on the board at this moment on the board, you can clearly see Caen will be taken, Cherbourg already being taken, and Saint-Lô most likely will also be taken. The Allies, terrible rolling in Saint-Lô, only got 1 hit on defense when the Germans were attacking. Caen, there was only 1 infantry attacking, all of those tanks and artillery missed. So the British not really having good aim. Not much to talk about from this round. Reinforcements are all out. British and Americans already. Germans got up there in the last few units. All of the planes from last round are still there. But that is all there is to talk about. The game is really short. The rounds are just attack, move, attack. That is all there is to it, but I'll see you after round 8, which will probably be the last round. But as we found out last round, don't speak too soon. It's the end of round 8, and it's the end of the game. Saint-Lô was taken barely by the Allies. Cherbourg has been taken for a while, and Caen was also taken with dominance. So that is the end of this game. Probably not the most interesting game you've ever seen, but very dominant displayed by the Allies. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. It's a pretty quick one, this one. I do enjoy playing this. Good one to play with your friends if they have limited time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Down Under Bunker, signing off.